I think he transformed into a beast, for I can nowhere find him like a man.
Aye, my lord, he is but gone now hence. Here he was merry, hearing of a song.
If he compact of jars grows musical, we shall surely discord him in the spheres. Go seek him. Tell him I would speak with him.
He saves my labor by his own approach.
Why, how now, monsieur? What a life, monsieur. What a life is this that your poor friends must woo your company? Oh, I see you look merrily.
A fool, a fool. I met a fool in the forest. A motley fool, a miserable world. As I do live by food, I met a fool who laid him down and basked him in the sun and railed on Lady Fortune in good terms, in good set terms. And yet a motley fool. Good morrow, fool, quoth I. No, sir, quoth he. Call me not fool till heaven hath sent me fortune. And then he drew a dial from his poke, and looking on it with lackluster eye, says very wisely, It is 10 o'clock. Thus we may see, quoth he, how the world wags. 'Tis but an hour ago since it was 9. After 1 hour more, 'twill be 11. And so from hour to hour, we ripe and ripe. And from hour to hour, we rot and rot. And thereby hangs a tale. What I did hear, the motley fool thus moral on the time, my lungs began to crow like a chanticleer, that fools should be so deep, contemplative, and I did laugh sans intermission an hour by his dial. Oh, noble fool, a worthy fool, motley's the only wear.
What fool is this?
Oh, worthy fool, one that hath been a courtier, and says, if ladies be but young and fair, then they have the gift to know it. And in his brain, which is as dry as the remainder biscuit after a voyage, he hath strange places crammed with observation, the which he vents in mangled forms. Oh, that I were a fool! Oh, I am ambitious for a motley coat.
Thou shalt have one.
It is my only suit, provided that you weed your better judgments of all opinion that grows rank in them, that I am wise. I must have liberty, withal as large a charter as the wind, to blow on whom I please. For so fools have, and they that are most galled with my folly, they most must laugh. And why, sir, must they so? The why is plain as way to parish church. He that a fool doth very wisely hit, doth very foolishly, although he's smart, not to seem senseless of the bob. If not, the wise man's folly is anatomized, even by the squandering glances of the fool. Invest me in my motley. Give me leave to speak my mind, and I will through and through cleanse the foul body of the infected world, if they will patiently receive my medicine.
Fie on thee. I can tell what thou wouldst do.
Well, what for a counter would I do but good?
Most mischievous foul sin in chiding sin, for thou thyself hast been a libertine. As sensual as the brutish thing itself, and all the embossed sores and headed evils, with that thou with license of free foot hast cut, wouldst thou disgorge into the general world.
Why, who cries out on pride that can therein tax any private party? Doth it not flow as hugely as the sea, till that the weary very means do ebb? What woman in the city do I name, when that I say the city woman bears the cost of princes on unworthy shoulders? Who can come in and say that I mean her? When such a one is she, such is her neighbor. Or what is he of basest function that says his bravery is not on my cost, thinking that I mean him? But therein suits his folly to the metal of my speech. There then, how then, what then? Let me see wherein my tongue hath wronged him. If it do him right, then he hath wronged himself. If he be free, why then my taxing like a wild goose flies unclaimed of any man. Woo! But who comes here?
Forbear and eat no more,
Why, I have eaten none yet.
nor shalt not till necessity be served.
Of what kind should this cock come of?
Art thou thus bolded, man, by thy distress, or else a rude despiser of good manners, that civilly thou seemst so empty?
You touched my vein at first. The thorny point of bare distress hath ta'en from me the show of smooth civility. Yet I am inland bred, and know some nurture. But forbear, I say, he dies that touches any of this fruit, till my affairs be answered.
And you will not be answered with reason. I must die.
What would you have? Your gentleness shall force more than your force moves us to gentleness.
I almost die for food.
Sit down and feed. and welcome to our table.
Speak you so gently. Pardon me, I pray you. I thought that all things here had been savage, and therefore put on I the countenance of stern commandment. But whate'er you are that in this desert inaccessible, under the shade of melancholy boughs, loose and neglect the creeping hours of time. If ever you looked on better days, if ever been where bells knolled to church, if ever sat at any good man's feast and wiped a tear from one's eyelid, and know what 'tis to pity and be pitied, therefore I put on the shield of gentleness and blush and hide my sword.
True is it, we have seen better days, and have with Holy Bell been knolled to church, and sat at good men's feast, and wiped our eyes of drops that sacred pity hath endangered. And therefore sit you down in gentleness, and take upon command what help we have, that your wanting may be ministered.
Then forbear your food a little while, for like a doe I go to find my fawn. There is an old man who, after me, hath many weary steps limped in pure love, till he be first oppressed with 2 weak evils, age and hunger. I will not touch a bit.
Go find him out, and we will waste nothing till you return.
I thank you, and blessed for your comfort.
Thou seest, we are not alone, unhappy. This wide and universal theater does present more woeful pageants than the scene wherein we play in ourselves.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. His acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then, the whining schoolboy, with satchel and morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then, the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. And then, a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like the pard. Jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then, the justice, in fair round billy, with good cap and line, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. And then, the 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide, for his shrunk shank and his big, manly voice, turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last thing of all, that ends this strange eventful history, the second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.